Imagine you dedicated half an hour to an hour each night, or at least 6 days a week on a continuous basis for 4 months, on 2 to 3 various things, various aspects of your life, in terms of your fitness, in terms of your endurance. How would your physique look like in 4 months? You decide to embark on this journey of learning a new instrument, half an hour to an hour each night. How skilled, how good, how developed would you be at playing the guitar, for example, this time in 4 months? There's always this misconception that we must be an expert in everything, and it's an absolute fallacy. To become an expert in something, it requires 10,000 hours of dedicated, persistent, laser beam focus, and then you can become an expert. Who has 10,000 hours? We have errands to run. You most likely have 9 to 5 employment. You have family commitments. And the reality is you're not going to have 10,000 hours to spare. And so the point is, you shouldn't aim to be an expert in absolutely every aspect of your life. Aim to be an expert in one or two things over the course of your life, but not every single aspect, not every single domain. A wise man once told me that I interacted with on a continuous basis. He used to tell me, learn to be, and it's a famous quote, learn to be the one-eyed man in the land of the blind. And what he essentially meant, how you would interpret that quote, is you don't need to be an expert. If you knew the foundations of a specific topic, let's say, for example, horses, right? You decided that you have a passion for horses, you wanted to study horses. Let's say you spend half an hour a night reading a book about horses for about 2 months. 2 months' time, you would have maybe a basic fundamental knowledge about the types of horses, the colours of horses, what they like, how fast is a certain horse in comparison to another horse. What would you pick for a horse in terms of the races? You would learn the intricacies of the horses, right? And now you place yourself in the midst amongst others who have no idea about horses at all. You would then be perceived as an expert. In that scenario, you would be the one-eyed man in the land of the blind. What they're essentially saying, and this is applicable to any aspect of life, is that you don't need to be an expert. And this is the fallacy, this is the misconception. Actually, it's actually inhibiting you from starting, because you're thinking, gosh, I have to be an expert and I need to be amazing at everything. I need to be a perfectionist. Everything needs to be perfect. No, not at all. A lot of people are faking it. And this is what you need to understand. You need to start today and understand that you only need to be an expert in maximum one or two things. You only need to be world class in one or two things. Everything else, aim to be the one-eyed man in the land of blind. And it only takes 4 months to change your life. Because imagine now you dedicate half an hour each night, an hour each night into your physique. How is your physique going to look in 4 months? Are you going to be shredded with a six-pack? Probably not. Are you going to have a much better physique comparison to what you currently have as you watch this video? Absolutely yes. In conjunction with healthy eating. You look at something else, learning a language, half an hour a night learning a language on a consistent basis. Imagine how that compounds. People talk about changing your life in 5 years. It can be done in 4 months. Is it going to change drastically whereby you might be a multi-millionaire with a six-pack and a beautiful woman in your arms? Probably not. Possible, but very unlikely. And that is not the aim here. The aim right now in these 4 months is to start to gain traction, is to get in emotion, it's to get those wheels turning. Because once those wheels are turning, and once you've incorporated those positive habits and you've eradicated the piss poor habits that you've had, you're going to see your life exponentially change. And at that point, it's going to be so easy to actually achieve the grand goals that you might have. Don't start off from day one today and say, I'm going to be a multi-millionaire and that's the goal. Amazing. If that's your long-term goal, that's fine. But don't set that goal for today, because it's, if anything, it's counterintuitive, because it's actually demotivating you from actually starting today. Set small, reasonable goals, and once you smash past them, then you can carry on down the journey and focus on the bigger goals. And that's the other thing I want to mention. I have made this point in my previous videos, and it's about habits. People talk to me, Kem, how do I quit my pornography addiction? Kem, I'm an alcoholic. Kem, I'm addicted to ketamine. Look, the reality is you can never eradicate a habit. You can't. You can speak to a psychologist, you can speak to a therapist. They've all said the same thing, and it's something that I've experienced in my personal life with my addictions in the past. You cannot just remove a habit entirely from your life, because now you have this vacuum. You have this empty space. Cool, you've removed the habit, but now you have an extra hour to spare per night. You have an extra half an hour. What are you going to do with it to fill the time? When you've built up this habit, old habits die hard. Your brain is yearning for it. It's yearning for that bad habit because you've been doing it for so long, and it's not an overnight process. The only way you get rid of a habit is you have to replace it with something new. So if you're jacking off to porn an hour each night, and now you decide I want to quit pornography, well, that's fantastic, but you now have an hour to spare. So if you're not hitting the gym in that hour, if you're not reading a book, or you're not doing something positive, it's futile, because eventually you're going to fall back into your ways. That's the only way you get rid of a habit. And that's the point. You start small, and you understand that as you incorporate positive habits and you aim to be the one-eyed man in the land of the blind, you realize and understand you don't have to be an expert in every single field, and you only dedicate a half an hour, 1 hour to that specific passion as you ascertain your purpose and say, okay, I want to learn a new instrument, I want to learn a new language, I have this sporting endeavor, I want to get good at football, I'm going to go in the garden with my football and do kiki ups a half an hour each night. It might seem small and trivial in the beginning, but as time progresses, you're going to understand that you're going to be a lot more skilled. It's the compound effect, right? And 4 months from now, in different aspects, in different areas of your life, you're going to see your life completely transform. And as I said, by that point, then you would have built up those positive habits. It takes 21 days to build up a habit, and the wheels would have already been turning by now. The momentum would have already been built by now. And if anything, it's easier to continue. It's actually harder to go back to your old ways after doing 4 months of positive actions. And that's the benefit. When your life is bad, it gets really bad. But when your life is good, it gets really good. It's that upward spiral. It's that downward spiral effect. It's all about momentum. And you need to have momentum on your side. You need to be compelled to victory. You must have conviction in what you do. And as you eradicate bad habits and you incorporate positive ones, and you understand that we're this close, you might be rock bottom, you might be in a state of self-loathing and I'm useless and I can't do this and everything is negative, and you might be rock bottom, you might be overweight or underweight and you haven't got money. It doesn't matter where you're starting. 4 months from now, your life can completely transform, and that's all it takes. It won't drastically change in terms of you're going to have £10 million net worth and you're going to have the shredded six-pack. No, of course not. But the whole purpose is that mentality shift. It's that paradigm shift of where you're going to be and the incremental improvements as time progresses. And in 4 months from now, it's going to give you that drive. It's going to give you that motivation. It's going to ignite that burning desire that you've been missing for this entire time to actually achieve your goals in your life. That's all it takes. All it takes is 4 months. And by then, if you focus on something for half an hour, 1 hour each night, it could be, as I said, that language or that skill or whatever it may be, that instrument. You're going to understand. You won't be an expert in 4 months, but you have that intermediate level. You'll be the one-eyed man in the land of the blind. So please understand this, gentlemen. You start today. In 4 months from now, your life will transform. Smash the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I'll see all of you guys for my next video. Peace.